Good morning. Welcome to today's edition of the I Talk Back Sports Show. Today is the first day of fall. Second day? First day?
It's one of them days.
It's fall.
It's fall.
Okay. So we're going to have a couple of discussions here about some of the sports media or sports athletes, and their stance on many things concerning the nation's issues. We're going to talk about NCAA football and the NFL. Okay. So Jamal, would you like to give a shout out?
Sure, Kay. I'd love to give a shout out to the orangeman who decided that it was a good idea to stick his nose into two different sports organizations that he really had no business being involved with in the first place. And we'll get into it later, but you know what? Shout out to you for your having nothing better to do than to just, get involved. What about you, Kay? What do you have to shout out?
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to the athletes who kind of know that what's on the line as far as their careers are concerned, endorsements, but they still speak out anyway. So I want to give a shout out to them. You guys have a platform. Continue to speak for people of your kind or others. Speak for everyone. If you feel it, you go ahead and say it.
Agreed. Agreed.
So Jamal, we were speaking yesterday about the NFL, and normally, it's my favorite time of the year. When the season starts, it's fall.
Yes.
Full outside. The leaves change colors. I get to sit in the house on Saturdays and watch college football all day, and on Sunday, and it's just a wonderful time in my life. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything well. Okay, but this season so far, it seems like not as excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
There was supposed to be a quote unquote great game Sunday night. I didn't watch it. Just didn't watch.
Yeah.
I'm not overly excited about the NFL, and I really just feel that they've taken a little bit from me. If it wasn't, the whole thing going on with the owners and the Kaepernick situation, it is the overuse of authority, I feel, with the Ezekiel Elliott situation. He's at fault for a lot of things, but I think what really kind of messed me up like last week was, them trying to rush the judge to make a decision, but you didn't rush to hand out a punishment. So what are you in a hurry for?
Right.
So those are some of the things, Jamal, that I think is tainting my spirit. What do you have to say, Jamal?
I've also, and I brought it up on our earlier show in August, but I too have felt the lack of luster with this NFL season, and it's again because we have the platform that we do and we do the show that we do that I am keeping up with the NFL, but I otherwise am not the least bit bothered that I too missed Sunday night's game, and I was in town for Monday night's game and was just kind of like, but I mean, it's the Giants, so. But nevertheless, it's the little smirk that I get when I'm reading through the Twitter feeds and looking at, ratings are down this year. And we will be talking about it probably later in the show, but this coming weekend is not going to be any help either. The way that the CTE cloud is hanging over the NFL and that there's no one who wants to actually come out and say, okay, there is a CTE issue, we're going to do something about it. And during this week, the lawsuit brought against Aaron Hernandez, not exactly the angel of the NFL, but the lawsuit that is coming, from the Hernandez family based upon the CTE results, based upon the amount of brain damage that is being assessed to football that the man had, that he had the brain of a 60-year-old man, degeneratively speaking, it's just not good PR. And it's one of those, can you get your head out your butts and realize that you're on the wrong end of this, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt bad if you don't, get it together. And I will go ahead and really quickly say this. I am curious about the Ezekiel Elliott case, but I will also say that I'm very frustrated and very annoyed by the way the NFL is handling it. The aspect not only to what you spoke towards, but also the ungodly, just the inability to understand that you can't sit there and tell the arbitrator, okay, don't provide this, don't provide this, don't provide them access to this information. That's a kangaroo court, my friend, and it doesn't work that way. So I'll be very surprised if they are able to get a even with oral arguments with this appeals court case coming up on October the 2nd or 3rd. I am going to be very surprised if the NFL wins this. He deserves an actual case, and then allow the evidence to speak for itself.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, even last year before all of this came up, the ratings were down, even for the Super Bowl. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to still be considered, in the future to be the best of this and the best of that, the best league there is,
Mm-hmm.
the most profitable, something has to give. You can't continue to keep giving us the same. And I guess with the bargaining agreement, hopefully, instead of just everyone rushing to sign and to get paid, they'll actually be more concerned with the fairness of what they're actually agreeing to.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So, Jamal,
Man.
Steph Curry is unable to go to the White House if Golden State decides that they actually want to go.
Well,
So, what I equate to the president withdrawing his invitation, I equate that to me like not being able to go to Oktoberfest in Addison. Like, wasn't planning on it anyway.
that's
Jamal,
that's the best time to get beer. Oktoberfest.
no, the best time to get beer is between 10 a.m. and 11 p.m. When it's legal to have it in Texas. That's the best time.
I thought that Steph Curry made no more of a gesture than Brady did previously in the previous administration with Obama, and it was fine. That it was specifically about him and not about the team. From what I just read, the team was going to have a meeting this morning on whether or not they were going to, accept the invitation. Chances are they probably weren't, but still, I thought the level of pettiness that this brought up was just really amusing. I was just like, oh, really? Okay. So this after, suggesting the day before at a rally in Alabama that the players who won't stand for the singing of the national anthem should be fired, cut and fired. That's and there are only black players who are doing this at this particular moment. So, and then black man stands up and says, "Hey, I'm not coming." You know what? Whole team, don't come. And to single out and respond to only Jamel Hill, and I know we're going to get to this, but just it amuses me the way that this president and his administration is just like, forget the whole we're going to just kind of quietly do this. It's just like, we're just straight up, we don't care. Yeah.
I think that without going too far into it, there has been a couple of tropical systems to go through the United States.
Mm-hmm.
There's people in Mexico that probably need a little bit of our help. The Caribbean islands, they need a little assistance. you're in in a battle with leaders of other countries. These little bitty domestic issues. I mean, if this is all the last president had to worry about,
Mm,
but these little things, then what are you worried about?
mm-hmm.
There's other things that I feel he should address, and not whether someone's personal Twitter account was attacking you or maybe addressing you correctly. I'm not going to say which one it is, but there's other things in the world that I think that he needs to be concerned about.
I couldn't agree more. There are much larger issues. There are a number of us who are going to bed thinking about, wow, this feels awfully familiar from the older times when it was the Soviet Union, and you went to sleep wondering, okay, is there going to be nuclear war when we're going, when we wake up, or is there going to be, just the apocalypse have taken place? And we've had a time of peace, and presidents who have had to put up with world leaders who have done stupid things and said stupid things, and you know what? It got handled one way or the other, but taking a stick and poking somebody, especially in your United Nations address, where all the nations are gathered and saying, just all the most antagonizing and even belittling things about a world leader. Just can we? Let's just yeah.
So,
I'm done with.
did you catch the fight last weekend?
I caught the results of the fight. And I caught I got play by play from some friends of mine, and, that I've been kind of following the fight through their eyes and so forth. And it really did sound like there was actually a winner to this fight. That there was a draw. I'm just like, boxing, why do you do this to yourself? You can't afford this. You cannot afford this. So what did you think about it?
I did not watch, but from what I heard, it wasn't. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Every
Mm-hmm.
fight has a controversy,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't necessarily think that I want to pay. I think it was $80
Mm-hmm.
um, to to prepare whatever type of preparations you make for these fights, and then at the end of the day, there's a draw.
Yeah, yeah.
Clearly it shouldn't have been from
Nah.
what I.
Yeah.
So I don't really think that's good. I mean, they're always trying to sell a rematch, but sometimes let's just get it right the first time, and then we'll be more willing, I feel, to pay for it the second time around.
A good ending to a fight in terms of the scoring and in terms of a result will still result in a rematch. There does not ever need to be this, we need to figure out a way to make a draw, or we need to figure out a way to make it so that the winner is the loser. It's not wrestling. We don't need it to be a predetermined outcome. Just go with the results of what was seen, and boom, you'll get everything.
Yeah. So moving on to football, Jamal. Last Saturday, the
Oh,
UC Trojans hosted the Texas Longhorns. Give me a recap. What you think?
my thinking is the Texas defense played way above and beyond the call of duty, way above and beyond what was expected of them based upon what was seen 2 weeks prior against Maryland, that they faced a very talented USC team. There were lapses here and there, but that and the end of regulation that you've only given up 24 points to this squad and at home was very impressive. And that was it 24 points? It was less than that, wasn't it? But nevertheless, that they had given up very few points and that they had been expected to have been blown out of this game. I was very impressed with the defense on that regard. The offense is another story. For some reason, Texas did not understand how to run the ball. That there were, I believe, single-digit carries by Chris Warren. The actual top rusher for the game was Sam, the quarterback. He had the most rushing yards for the entire team, and it really wasn't by a lot. There doesn't need to be a push to put the ball in his hands and make him win a game. Use your running game, pound out the clock, let him pick and choose passes and so forth. The potential is there. Bottom line, the potential is there. On this particular one, I'm going to actually point a finger at play calling. Don't try to get a freshman quarterback to go on the road and win a game against a nationally ranked team. Understand that you have veterans in the backfield, run the ball, short passes, and the outcome would probably have been different. What do you think?
I think the same thing. So with Clemson and Louisville, I just found out that this has nothing to do with last week. Lost their receiver Smith. He has something wrong with his wrist. That's not really good. Because they, even though they don't really have a run game besides the quarterback Louisville, the wide receiver was really good. I don't think that Louisville has a really good defense, and I think sometimes when I watch them, they get a little frustrated on offense. And I think it's the play calling, actually. I think that they need to be a little bit creative about what they have because they don't have a run game. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, besides the quarterback. So they didn't have enough for Clemson. Clemson really looked good last week, as I said they would. But I think after this injury of the receiver for Louisville, they'll definitely drop in the rankings, and we probably won't hear about them again until next year.
On the flip side, Clemson, like you said, looked really good, and it's a very frightening division, the ACC Atlantic Division, that you still have, though, taken out behind the woodshed by Alabama at the beginning of the year, you still have a very strong Florida State squad. And you have a Virginia Tech squad that is coming up, albeit quietly, that's going to start making some noise. It looks like down this road in the season. So this is going to be a very interesting division to keep an eye on as the college football season rolls on. So let's move to another poorly defended Hail Mary that cost the University of Tennessee on the road in a game they had they had the game won. It was done. What are your thoughts on this?
Jamal, I watched that game because I felt that it was going to be just that. It was going to be a tug of war, okay? Once we got within 5 minutes to the end of the fourth, I was like, something's going to happen. I'm not going to like it. I didn't know which team, but I just knew. It was in the air, Jamal. And when he threw that ball, I was like, it's over. It's over. And it was. It was a really, really, really good game.
I don't understand how you don't have your two safeties standing in the end zone. Because when he caught the ball, he was being tailed by a corner. There was no one who had come up towards the ball to knock it away. So it was like it was a design play, and Tennessee, for some reason, just kind of sat there looking at the ball. I didn't see, but maybe one of their receiver in the end zone. But nevertheless, it was kind of one of those, get the ball, knock it down, do something. Why are you tailing him? It amazed me. It just truly amazed me. And I feel bad. Just side note, CBS is really starting to come up with some pretty amazing finishes on these SEC games. It's starting to be, like you said, you at the 5-minute mark, you felt something was going to happen. And it's just, I am not a huge fan of the SEC, but the ones that they keep showing on CBS, you're just like, it's like somebody scripted that this sort of craziness is going to happen. So moving along, lastly, there was a team I did want to discuss, and it's LSU. And LSU is, I think are they 0-2 now? The same squad that, the same squad with the coach who wouldn't let our wonderful university have their little satellite, camps over in their state at all. And he's coming to a squad that it has talent. There's some talent, but not winless talent. What's your take on LSU?
something.
In Houston. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know, but
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, he's motivating those guys to play for him, and that's what it's all about. They're believing in whatever he's doing. Of course, he has talent because he's kind of not allowing anyone to scout from his area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's not sharing his toys, but hey,
Mm-hmm.
let's leave her there. So I think that it's all working for them. We'll know more once they get deeper into the schedule and play more SEC teams.
And get a win. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe get a win, maybe not. I mean, I was
Mm-hmm.
surprised,
Yeah.
but they always seem to keep pretty good players. LSU
Mm-hmm.
does.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking more along of the coach. Who is he able to get the job done? And so far, he's been doing a good job.
Well, speaking of coaches getting the job done, lastly, I would like the opportunity to address a particular coach who used to run the sidelines in Austin. And that coach would be one Charlie Strong. And on primetime on Thursday on ESPN, University of Southern Florida, who we've said we keep an eye on, drubbed Temple, the previous winners of their conference, 43-7 at Temple, and taking their record to 3-0. The big thing from this game was the 12 takeaways, well, for the season, including, I recall, 4 takeaways in this particular this game alone. So, Kay, question: do you think the folks in Austin are wondering if they jumped the gun on his dismissal?
No, I don't think they're worried about jumping the gun. To me, from just standing back, just looking at this thing, I don't think that Herman is able to do anything more than what Charlie did, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? Um, I don't. I mean, not even speaking about Charlie's team, but just the Longhorns. Like, we got to get to like the root of why. One week it'll be one thing, the next week it'll be another. Like, there's no consistency, and it's been like that for maybe 3 or 4 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm not. Is it a coaching issue? Is it a culture issue? Like, what's going on for real? I can't really speak for South Florida because I just hope they beat everybody by 50 every they do have a soft schedule,
Mm-hmm.
and most people say that for them to be a none out of the Power Five, that they're looking for San Diego State to be a little bit better because of their scheduling. Who they have on their scheduling. So
Right.
we'll definitely see. I want the Longhorns to do great. I want Charlie Strong to win everything. You know what I'm saying? I just want him. I want that for him. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know, Jamal. We'll see.
I just would like for the NCAA not to be a petty organization that decides, let's see what happens if we do this. Come bowl time, I don't want to ever see a matchup with South Florida. Please.
No.
God, no.
I want them to work their way through the ranks and get to where they rightfully belong.
And play a Florida team in a bowl.
Yeah.
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 That's right.
So we'll go ahead and close out college football. And let's go ahead and move to Sundays and the NFL. And we'll do a review of Sunday's results. And we will start with, besides the Cowboys and Broncos that we'll discuss later, what stood out for you last Sunday?
What stood out for me last Sunday was the AFC West.
Mm. Mm.
Like, what's going on over there? Because nothing else is interesting to me. But I want to see how they play against each other in these conference games.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see if actually someone goes to the AFC Championship game out of that conference. I just and who will ultimately be able to challenge the Patriots. So I'm interested in those type of things. Otherwise, nothing, nothing stood out to me, Juwan. I
You
think
know,
we're that period where we're trying to find out who the teams are,
mm-hmm,
how they're going to play, who they match up well against. And we're still in those type of moments because it's very early in the season still.
mm-hmm.
Like the Seahawks don't surprise me. They always start out slow. They play really good defense and they don't give up a whole lot of points. Check. We have the Detroit Lions. Okay, they always start out good, but come November when it's time to clutch, they don't. We have my inconsistent as hell Dallas Cowboys. Okay, I won't even get. I won't.
We'll,
I won't
we'll,
do that.
we'll get to that.
We'll reserve the right to come back to that. So everything is business as usual.
So for you, there were no good surprises or disappointed surprises from last week.
What I'm disappointed in is that people need to let the past go. Okay? Every time that my team struggles, example, the Minnesota Vikings game last year, my quarterback struggles. Okay? And everyone is ready to just throw everything away. The 11-game win streak. You know what I'm saying? Like all the stats, all the accomplishments, everything, and they're waiting to just cry for Tony Romo. Tony Romo has another job. He is not the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Please put that to rest. Okay, and I'll be the first person to say no one misses Tony Romo more than Desmond Bryant. Okay? Nobody. Okay? But until, I think that Dak is able and comfortable with finding him doing this at 40 miles, 40 yards down the road, then it's just not going to happen. But we can be patient enough until it does, okay? Because
Mm-hmm,
we have a lot of weapons within those yards, okay?
mm-hmm.
So I know I've kind of got off of it, but that's my disappointment that so many sorry ass fans are so impatient. Okay, how are you impatient? We haven't won anything in over 20 years. How are you this impatient in just one season? How did that happen?
A little
Juwan,
bit, a little
that's
bit,
what I'm asking.
a little bit of success. That's all it takes. A little bit of success. So let me. I will get to responding to your point in a second. I did want to say though that I felt elsewhere in the league that the Seattle San Francisco game, which honestly between the two of us really doesn't make a hill of beans, that really should have been a blowout. But that Seattle, strangely enough, the ones that everyone has picked to be the Super Bowl representative from the NFC, can't find their offense at home. They could not get any scoring out of this squad whatsoever. That was a very disappointing surprise for me. The good surprise for me was Kansas City hanging on to win against the Eagles, and that Kansas City would, in the past, have a big win and then a big letdown, and then another win and another letdown. It just up and down. So that they followed up an emotional win in Foxborough the weekend before to come home and beat what people consider to be a contender in the NFC East, the Eagles and Andy Reid's old team, in a very close game. That was a very impressive win by the Chiefs on my part. I really did not think that they were going to win this game. So that being said, let's talk about the Cowboys. So my feeling is if you're down by 10, 20, or 40 points, when you're on offense, you don't stop running the ball. You run the ball. And if the defense has been stopping you going up the middle, you run out to the outside. If the defense has been stopping you there, you run off tackle. You find areas, you run the ball. This was not the Steel Curtain. This was not the Chicago 46 defense. It's a very good Denver Bronco defense, but you still run the ball. You don't stop running the ball. Scott Linehan, you can't do this. The same way that I'm just talking about the offensive coordinator at the University of Texas, you run the frickin' ball. You don't stop running the ball. You at least try. 8 carries, not going to cut it. Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not even going to deal with his response and attitude because I felt the exact same way that he looked when he was on the sidelines. He shouldn't have given up on the interception, but I mean, that's neither here nor there. It happens. But in our defensive backfield, I can't really say too much because it was just one of those things, and that they were dropping like flies out there was just really kind of disheartening. But, they did what they did. They did what they could do. We knew that our defensive backfield was a little bit of a weakness coming into this season, and they got exposed. Injuries further exposed what was going on, and so let me pause there. Okay, beyond the fans, what was your take on last weekend's game?
I just think that sometimes you're not the better team. You're not the most prepared. You don't have all of your personnel, and sometimes you gotta take an ass whooping. So I'm not surprised that they did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't suspect that they'll have to take another one anytime soon, but it happens. What I don't like is that they're unable to make adjustments. That they were only down 10 points, and they stopped running the ball, which is supposed to be one of the tenements of their offense. We're a running team.
Right.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah. Agreed.
Really, you are? Okay. So, what I'm excited about, though, is we get DeMontre Moore back this week. In 2 weeks, we'll get back some more of our people on defense. So, it's not panic time. It's week 2.
Mm-hmm.
Not panic time. So, sometimes you got to take an ass whooping. What does it makes you a better person?
I'm going to completely agree with what you said. Yeah, I felt the same way after the game. I mean, I was angry as could be, but it was just one of those, what can you do? Sometimes you do get that ass whooping. So it happened, and we move on to, what did we move on to? Phoenix. Okay, we'll get to that in a moment. So is there anything that you have to say about the Monday night matchup with the Lions and the Lions and the Giants?
I didn't watch. I don't think they should have started Beckham. I mean, you should kind of probably wait till he's at 100 or 80,
Mm-hmm.
80, 90%.
Mm-hmm.
You run him out there because, as we saw, his presence didn't really help them.
Yeah.
Out there. So I didn't watch. Like I say, the Lions, they've been making pretty good. They start off really good, so there's nothing surprising there.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope that they keep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like what you said earlier in the show. Exactly, the Lions are going to be the Lions. So, and moving to there was a Thursday night game, believe it or not, in which the Rams and the 49ers. Apparently, it was an entertaining matchup for the 3 people who watched it outside of the state of California, with the Rams pulling out a close win. There was a Todd Gurley sighting. He apparently someone's decided that they're going to really actually utilize him in the offense, and he looked like he was a rookie again. He looked great out there. So, but I'm tempted to ask the question, but I'm pretty sure that you.
I did watch, and for some reason, I'm like, why am I watching this? But
Ye-
it was entertaining. San Francisco's quarterback made some really good throws. I still think that they need to balance off their offense a little bit more with the run game. And I think if they do that, that'll take a whole lot of pressure off the quarterback. So that he doesn't have to make those throws all the time. But San Francisco, I think they're not as bad as we think. I think they match up well against certain teams, and when they do, they get out there and they really do play them. whenever they play Seattle, San Francisco, and Seattle, that's always a very hard fought game. Because of how they match up well. But the game against the Rams was actually pretty good. And I was like, why haven't I changed this? And I'm still watching it. I don't know, but we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, the NFC West, boy, this is going to be interesting. So we'll move forward to Sunday, and we'll start this coming Sunday and preview. Well, I would like to preview one matchup.
Yeah, let's just move on because really, when I was looking at the schedule, it's like a bunch of I don't know what they call the games and the matchups. I mean, I know they're not interesting. They probably will be after it's all said and done. But you're not just like, okay, I'm going to stay home and watch this. Like none of the games have I said that about. So, which game were you thinking about, Jamal?
The matchup of the Titans, and that game looked to be of interest to me. I thought that it would be a very interesting looking sort of situation, a good barometer of where the Titans actually are versus a fairly decent squad. And yeah, so I thought that would be a good one. Otherwise, there's the Monday night game. Cowboys out in the desert. Bunch of question marks.
And you know what, Jamal? Really, nothing is going to be solved with a win or a loss after this game. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we're just chugging along, really.
Right. Right.
And the reason why I say that Arizona has a lot of, they don't have
Quest.
their running backs.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they still, after last year, at the end of last year, they were playing inconsistently. So I don't really think either team will find answers in this game. I just hope that we go back to running the ball and doing the things that we like to do, like using up all the damn clock, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Hoping that our defense does just enough to get us the ball back.
Right.
So that's all that I think.
Gotcha. I'm just hopeful, and like you said, I think I completely agree with the fact that there's really nothing that's going to come of this game, win or lose. Well, if we win, nothing's going to come of it. If we lose, it'll be a whole lot of question marks, and that'll just be kind of a tough spot to be in. Quick question, because I know we need to wrap up. How are your workouts coming?
Me and my trainer are going to have a rededication on Monday.
Okay.
That's all we have to dedicate ourselves to this process.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to get this together. We're going to get this train back on the track.
All right.
So Monday at 5 a.m. Part 2.
Oh. Oof. Okay. Okay.
At the gym at 5 a.m. Not waking up at 5 to go to the gym. In the gym at 5 a.m.
Whew. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. So your dedication, I salute you. And I wish you the best on that. So, okay, this has been a great morning, and I hope that we can reconnect on Tuesday at our regularly scheduled time and talk about what took place over the past weekend. So until then, hope you have a great weekend.
All right, thank you, Jamal.
Thank you, Kay. Talk later.